Hello, I'm Dr. Sam, this is Dr. Sam's Health, and I continue covering the COVID-19 pandemic, but at the same time I must say that I'm a little bit tired of this subject. We are talking about this virus everywhere, in the news, on my channel, on my blogs, with my colleagues, with my patients, with everybody. And I remember really well why I wanted to create this channel. I want to talk about health, about nutrition, about diets, exercise, healthy lifestyle in general. So today I decided to make a special video which will be dedicated to one specific subject: how not to gain weight or how to lose weight during this pandemic. I have heard from a lot of people that they started to gain a lot of weight during this pandemic because they do not move much, because they cannot go to their gyms, because they don't feel motivated enough to do anything about their weight loss or weight gain, because they crave foods, they eat a lot, the food is readily available in their fridges, things like that. And actually they come up with very funny memes like this one, for example, compare David to COVID. I don't know who came up with this idea, but I totally love these people. I think it's genius and I really had a lot of fun just looking at this picture. Unfortunately, I don't know who came up with this, so I cannot give them credit, but if you feel like the credit is due, please let me know. Email me, text me, I will definitely add it to the description to this video. Jokes aside, it's a very serious issue and I think it deserves a special video, and we'll talk about different aspects of weight gain or weight loss during these difficult times today. First of all, let's talk about the motivation. I know it is the key for everything that we do, and a lot of people don't feel that they are motivated. They feel sluggish, they don't feel like doing anything, and it is actually quite reasonable behavior or the way people feel these days. These days, our lives are restricted in so many ways that we cannot really enjoy a lot of things that we used to enjoy. We cannot go to the parks, we cannot go to the beaches, we cannot go to nightclubs, we cannot go to the restaurants, we cannot go to movies, we cannot socialize as much as we used to. So all these sources of pleasure, of dopamine, of positive reinforcement, if you will, are completely extinct. And accordingly, we do not get our regular rewards for our typical activities that usually bring us pleasure. And accordingly, we end up in a situation where no matter what we do, we still feel that we are kind of hitting the wall. Essentially, we're experiencing something that a good psychologist would call learned helplessness, which is one of the models for depression. So it's totally natural to feel this way. But there are ways to reverse it and to work with this. And my solution to this is hope. This quarantine, this self-isolation will not last forever. It will only last several weeks, maybe several months tops, but there are several reasons for it not to be permanent. First of all, no economy can sustain it. Second, we have already flattened the curve, and thank you for everybody who did their best to contribute to this process. Actually, check out my video on flattening the curve and why it is important. But today I would like to remind you that this will not last forever. This quarantines, the self-isolation will likely last for maybe a couple of weeks, maybe several weeks from now, and then different measures will be lifted one by one. And you will be able to go out, you will be able to socialize, you will be able to go to the movies, to the restaurants, to the dancing floors, to your gyms, and of course you will be able to go to the beaches. And when you do this, I don't want you to feel that you have wasted these several months in total and you gained some weight and you haven't achieved your goal of perfect weight loss, your perfect beach body, something like that. I want you to be proud of you being able to reverse the course of events and using this time during this quarantine to actually better yourself. And I honestly think that this is the best time for weight loss, for self-improvement, and for doing, in general, multiple things that we haven't tried before. So let's talk about these things and the problems we may encounter on our journey. First, one really important problem that I hear about from lots of people, they actually use it as a great excuse not to do anything, is the lack of equipment or the fact that the gyms are closed. So people are saying that they cannot go to their CrossFit classes, they cannot go to their yoga classes, they need their treadmills and they cannot go on a treadmill. Yes, it is a problem, but is it a huge problem? I don't think so. I honestly think that exercise, first of all, is not a major contributor to weight loss, and second, you can do a lot of other things instead of exercise to help you with losing weight. Let's face it, you don't need much equipment for weight loss, and quite frankly, I see several silver linings in this situation, as crazy as it sounds. Let's talk about them. The very first thing I would like to say is that exercise is not necessary for weight loss. I made a video about that. There were meta-analysis showing that if you're adding exercise, your weight loss even might slow down a little bit, not in a bad way, and I will admit it. I always advocate for incorporation of exercise into your daily routines. It does not help with weight loss much, but it helps with multiple other things. It helps with your cardiovascular fitness, with your fitness level in general. It will help with your looks. It will help with preserving protein and muscle sparing during intensive weight loss attempts. But the bottom line is that you don't need to exercise to lose weight. You don't need exercise to prevent you from gaining weight. So lack of access to the gym or to specific equipment should not deter you from trying to lose weight. And quite frankly, it shouldn't be an issue at all. The second thing is that I think that this situation gives us a unique opportunity to get out of our regular routines. Say you are doing weightlifting, or you are doing CrossFit, or you are jogging all the time. You do not have to go to the gym to do half of these things. You can do many of these things at home, and you can try and experiment with different other approaches. You can do bodyweight exercises. I know it's not the same, but quite frankly, unless you're a professional athlete and you were preparing for a competition, you don't really need that much of an equipment. You can always find a substitute. You can always try something new to begin with. And I must say that in my practice, I see a lot of people who do very specific kind of exercises, and I'm not an exception to this rule. We focus on one side of our physique or our performance or fitness level, and we completely ignore the other sides of the equation. I don't want to dwell too much on this topic. I think I made my point pretty clear. Just to give an example, I've been working out in a gym focusing mostly on muscle mass. But at the same time, I've been completely neglecting things like stretching, which is actually very important for certain exercises, or things like performance, like athleticism. For example, one of the exercises that I have issues with is pull-ups, and I can only do, I think, around 10 chin-ups and around 6-8 pull-ups. So right now I still have my pull-up bar and I can practice on that. I can work with my body weight exercises to increase my stamina, to try to use different high-intensity training approaches, and do lots of other things that eventually will increase my level of athleticism and will help me with my future workouts. Which brings me to the third and the last thing on this list. Sometimes we need time to recover. When we are getting to certain routines, we gradually increase our weights, our intensity of our exercises, the number of trainings per week. We might get into overtraining or to some sort of a exercise fatigue. I don't want to come up with some specific terms, but you know what I'm talking about. You've been doing the same thing for months, if not years. Your body has sustained certain injuries, micro-injuries. Your body needs to recover. And usually, actually, professional athletes, they use some time to deload. And of course, this kind of activities should be properly planned, and usually they follow a very intense period of exercise. But in our case, we had this situation pretty much forced on us. We cannot work out. So even if you don't want to do anything, if you don't want to try any new things, you can use this time to recover, to let your ailments mend. Some of us have joint pain, muscle soreness, overall fatigue. We can normalize our sleep, our nutrition, and again, prepare ourselves for future athletic endeavors. And to sum it up, the solution to this problem of gym or specific equipment unavailability is to do either or both of two things. First, we can try new things, try cycling, we can try meditation, we can try yoga, we can try stretching, Pilates, anything that does not require this equipment or gym. And option B is to give yourself some time to rest, to recover, to recuperate, and to prepare yourself for future athletic achievements. Okay, the third part of my video will be dedicated to the nutrition itself. And from the get-go, I would like to say that I don't think we have any issues with food shortages. At the worst case scenario, sometimes going to the grocery store is a little bit more problematic than usual. You have to stand in lines sometime, you have to sanitize your hands. Some grocery stores have quite long lines. There might be restricted selection of foods that you'd like to have, but in general, this is not the problem. At the same time, there might be an issue with the access to the foods that you used to enjoy prior to this pandemic, because, for example, your favorite restaurant might be closed or might have a very limited choice or selection of foods that they deliver. Plus, delivery causes an extra set of problems. You have to plan things ahead, you have to order the foods, you cannot add something to your bill. And actually, speaking of the bill, deliveries are usually more costly than getting the stuff from the restaurant or in the restaurant. So these are minor issues in my opinion, but they do exist. And I think that, again, the universe gives us a signal that right now it's a good time to watch your nutrition and to start cooking at home. If you never did it, it's time to learn. We've got a little bit of time on our hands to do this stuff right now. We can cook for ourselves. We can make amazing meals. We can enjoy the nutrients the way they should be enjoyed. We can have them fresh. We can have full control over the stuff we eat. And accordingly, I think it is a good situation for weight loss. And speaking of control over our nutrition and the cooking process, some of us might face a very difficult problem, which is if you have a roommate or some relatives who are staying with you, you might not have full control over what is happening in your kitchen and your refrigerator. That can be a huge issue, and I don't even have to imagine it. I've got a couple of relatives who came to stay with me for a short period of time and now they cannot fly back. So right now they live with me and they keep cooking stuff that I cannot eat because of my nutritional plan. I've got very strict time frames for my food intake and they break all the rules all the time. But we have to find ways to deal with that. Obviously, there are multiple ways of addressing this situation, but I think that the best thing to start with is to have a meeting, either a family meeting or a meeting with your roommates. And during this meeting, you can talk about what you're going through, what your plans are, and how they can support you. And by supporting you, I don't mean that they have to completely buy into your nutritional approach. You don't have to convince them of anything. Just explain to them that it is a difficult period of time in your life and you need their support. And this support can come in different forms, but mostly just trying not to sabotage your efforts. And I know that the word sabotage sounds pretty bad, but at the same time, that's exactly what lots of people in our environment tend to do to us when we are trying to stick to our diet. They tend to question our motives, our justification. They tend to come up with some excuses for bad, unhealthy behaviors, like saying things like, oh, you don't have to lose weight. Indulging is okay. You can indulge a little bit here and there. You have lost 2 pounds. Now you can have a bit of a cookie or a cake. You can do this, and that. They also can offer some alternative solutions that you would not appreciate at the moment. Like, for example, if I'm going a low-carb diet, some of my friends or family members would say, oh, but you cannot completely exclude carbs. Rice is good for you, fruit is good for you. But, I don't want to explain to everybody that my diet is so-and-so, and I don't want to argue with them. And again, that is one of my points, is that you don't want to convince your family members or roommates or people around you in general about your goals. You want to tell them that here is your plan and you need their support. And people in your environment can do a lot of things to support you on your journey. You can separate the foods in the refrigerator. They can do some grocery shopping for you, keeping in mind your intentions. They can modify their nutritional plans in a way that is kind of accommodating your needs and not too triggering for you, but at the same time it kind of meets their goals. At a certain point, I thought that the ideal scenario would be to convince them that your nutritional approach is amazing and they would join you on your journey. But I must say that usually it brings more harm than good because they tend to sabotage it in a different way. And again, sorry for using the word sabotaging, but that's exactly what is happening. Like, I want to start a low-carb diet. I want to go on a low-calorie diet. And they will say, it's Thursday, tomorrow is Friday night, let's have a dinner, and the weekend is not a good time. Let's start on Monday. So you will delay your approach for 3 days, and then nothing will happen because on Monday you will still have leftovers from your Sunday meal and you would like to finish that. Then you've got some stuff in your fridge that should be eliminated prior to going on this diet, and this stuff can last for weeks, if not months, if not for the whole duration of your life. So you cannot rely on anyone, you have to rely on yourself, and all you have to ask from your people is to ask for some support. And since I just mentioned the refrigerator and the leftovers, one thing you can do when you live on your own is removing all the stuff that does not fit your nutritional plan for your refrigerator. Trust me, you will not regret it. Do not delay anything, start right away. Go to your fridge, check out what you have there, remove all the stuff that doesn't fit your nutritional plan and either throw it away or give it to somebody else. Give it to your neighbors, do whatever you want with that, but just eliminate it, because as long as it stays in your refrigerator, you are aware of its presence and you are thinking of it, and it increases the number of cravings you have for these foods. No food, less cravings, less problems with your diet. So just to recap, there are several solutions to this complex problem, which include planning your grocery shopping, cooking for yourself or learning how to cook, enjoy it. Third thing is freeing up your refrigerator, removing everything that might trigger food cravings or does not belong to your nutritional plan. And the last but not the least is negotiating with your family members or your roommates, people in your environment, to make sure that they do not sabotage your progress, that they support you in your journey. Hopefully they might hop on and join you on your journey. But remember, this journey is quite solitary, so it might not be the worst thing that right now we're self-isolating. You are the master of your progress and you must rely on yourself. I'm just giving you some ideas on how to do it in the most effective way. And summarizing everything that I've been talking about, these are indeed very difficult times. We all are stressed, things are out of ordinary, and it's really difficult to cope with this stress and to stay on track. But I hope that you see my main point here. These times, as difficult as they are, they're not really worse for weight loss or body transformation than any other time in your life. And in fact, I believe that this self-isolation actually creates a unique opportunity for you to lose weight, to transform your body, to get to a different level of athleticism and control over your physique than you used prior to that. And I honestly hope that you will take what I'm saying to your heart and you will finish this pandemic marathon in a much better shape than you started with. So I hope that I have convinced you to either stay on track or get back on track with your nutrition and body transformation, weight loss. And definitely there are lots of other things we can talk about, and I will definitely cover them in my future videos and my blogs. Speaking of blogs, check out my website, drsamshealth.com. I've got my blogs there and a lot of calculators, different sources of information for you, as well as I will ask you to subscribe to my videos if you like them, hit the like button, hit the notification bell. Always feel free to make comments, leave suggestions, argue with me. I'm very open to any kind of interactions. So thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Stay safe. All the best to you.